Jay Holgate, SECSportsReport.com. Jay, how you doing?
Hey Ron, I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Jay, we're doing great. Jay, Jay, did you say you got down to Birmingham?
Yes, I did.
Wow. Was you one of the 200 or 300 people back at the motel booing the team?
Hey Ron, before we get going too far, I'm actually capturing our radio interview right now on my new computer on my webcam, and I can upload it to YouTube so you can see my facial expressions when you ask me these questions.
Oh,
it won't be nearly as much fun if you could see me and Ron.
Well, that's the next step. We're going to get a camera for you guys, and I want everybody to see what kind of facial expressions are going on up there.
Well, you know, we every morning I look on, I guess it's ESPN, I see Mike and Mike, you know, I don't think I'd like one of those cams in the studio.
It makes you smile a lot more, that's for sure.
I guess it does. And, you know, during a break when you take a 2-minute nap, that wouldn't look too good, would it?
Well, they see
No.
your eyes when Rose Evelyn's coming on the line.
yeah.
You roll them back into your head.
Well, Ron, I got on right now for your benefit and Pork Chops. I got on my Bama hat and my Bama sweatshirt. I'm ready to go for tomorrow night. They've already canceled school in most of Georgia for tomorrow. They said something about the weather, but I don't think it has anything to do with the weather. I think it has to do with the national championship football game.
I believe you're right. You know, they already canceled school down at Alabama for 3 days.
They might as well cancel it out the rest of the year if they win.
Well, they may, no kidding, yeah. So far, take us through your, I guess, you've seen the bowl games. You went to a couple last week. Just tell us about your experiences, you know, down at the bowl game. You was in the press box, I'm guessing, for the Papa John's Bowl?
Well, actually, I was on the field for the entire game.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so it was like 20 degrees down there, plus a wind chill. But I was just watching what South Carolina was doing, and I don't know. They looked real flat when they were pregame. Everything was real flat. I think they went in that game thinking they were going to whip those kids, and I think all the South Carolina fans assumed the same thing, and they just kind of ran through their drills. And during the game, they just never could get a break. And before they knew it, it was fourth quarter, and they were down by a couple touchdowns. They had a couple opportunities to get in the game, but drop passes, missed interceptions, penalties. I mean, it wasn't the worst, but, I think when you assume you're going to win, I think Spurrier took it pretty hard.
Yeah, from what I understand, listen to the show that comes on before ours. They was interviewing maybe one of the coaches and said that he laid into them pretty hard. And, I mean, there's all kind of rumors and things going on. I guess being reported by the state newspaper and people like that.
Well, I will say this. I've seen them earlier in the season, and I saw Wolford every single time that offensive line came off the field. And for the one game I went to earlier in the season, I think I went to the Kentucky game, he was on those kids every single time they came off the field. Now, for this particular game, I'm not sure who Andy Boyd is, but I didn't see anybody over there talking to those kids. And I saw them kind of talking back and forth to each other, but it did not seem to me that it didn't seem like it was as organized as it needed to be. I'm just of the opinion, I know Wolford's gone, but the deal is that offensive line, they needed somebody over there telling them this is what we got to do. This is the next step. We're gonna drive the ball down the field. I didn't see that. I was within 10 feet of those guys. I didn't see it the whole time. Maybe he's a guy I didn't recognize, but this is what I'm telling you about that game. It was probably 15 degrees down there on that field. The majority of the South Carolina Gamecock team was in short sleeve shirts. I had 4 layers of clothes on plus a heavy jacket and something on my head, and I was freezing my tail off. I know those guys had to be freezing, and I've been on camping trips before where I wasn't properly dressed, and my take on it is that when they got cold like that, that those guys just, they weren't communicating to each other. They weren't doing the things that it takes to win a game. And I know Spurrier said something differently in the press conference. I was sitting down there on the field. I watched those kids. They were gathered up next to those heaters. They were not talking to each other. The coaches weren't talking to them. I understand why they lost. I mean, they were a better team. They were more talented, probably had better coaches, but not on this day. And and the bottom line is, those kids from Connecticut, they're used to playing in that kind of weather. And I just know sometimes when I've been out there in the cold, you don't think like you normally do. It's hard. Those kids never seemed like they were really in the game, the South Carolina kids.
We heard from some people that were there that maybe the sideline reporter, what's his name, Cousins, was actually over there with the offensive line trying to help them out a little bit.
Is he the black guy with kind of long hair?
He's a sideline reporter.
Yeah, absolutely. He was, and when those guys came out, when they came out for the second half, I was one of the few people cheering them on. But I mean, they were those kids were not talking to each other. I saw Mo Brown go around one time and tell everybody to get jacked up. That number 47, that's the fullback. He did it one time. Outside of that, I didn't see anybody that was pumping them up or anything like that. I mean, I Coach Beamer, he does things when they come off the field. The defensive coordinator was saying a couple things to him, but there was nobody that was off the field, up there on the bench, pushing them, talking to them, telling them what they need to do. I'm just telling you, I've been around this league all year long. That's what they're doing at Georgia. They're doing it at LSU. They're doing it at Alabama, and they're doing it at Florida. So, in my opinion, that's what it takes to win. You gotta constantly be talking to those guys. I saw Garcia was by himself for the majority of the fourth quarter. Nobody was talking to him. I probably could have carried on a conversation with him if I'd have had something good I could have said to him. But he was over there by himself, and the guy was struggling all day long. He's a good quarterback. But it was just a breakdown on many levels, and I think what happens is I think Spurrier just gets real angry. And when things are going good, he's a great coach to be around. But when they're not going good, I just think that the whole thing just kind of broke down for him.
Yeah.
It's my personal opinion. I mean, maybe that's the way they coach it at South Carolina. I don't know, but I'm just telling you, I just thought that it just seemed like there were some breakdowns, and it takes a lot more than that if you're going to go out there and win.
Yeah. A couple players on television. When I say a couple, honestly, I only heard one. But he said, we went out there. We thought we were, we play in the SEC. They play in the Big East. We thought we should win. He said it didn't happen.
Yeah.
We did not give them enough credit. We took them lightly.
Yeah.
And another thing, some people say, well, they beat Clemson. That was it. That was their bowl game. That was their season. They beat Clemson. Something that they don't do a whole lot, and they were just satisfied with that.
I tell you, Ron, I mean, the SEC's had a pretty difficult bowl season. I do believe that the teams that are in the SEC, they have a level of confidence that they believe that they're better than these other teams. And I think we've seen it all season long, or at least in the bowl season, that they've gone into these games thinking that they were going to beat the opponent, and the opponent really gets up for the game and goes into the game trying to prove something, and the opponent ends up winning. The LSU game kind of happened the same way. I think Penn State's a good team. I'm not taking anything away from them, but I do think that the SEC has better teams. But when you break it up between they finish out the school season playing their rivals, then they go home for the Christmas break, then they come back for practice. When you start adding all that together, it's just enough distractions for these teams to kind of get out of their normal rhythm. And I definitely believe that South Carolina is a better team than that. Sometimes these things are good. The biggest thing that I'll tell you I like coming out of that South Carolina game was when I saw Steven Garcia in the press room. They had us packed in there like sardines. When I saw him in there crying, that was a good indication for me that guy is going to be a better quarterback next year. He cares about this team, and it showed me that there is some relational stuff going on this team, and that they got something to build on. It's when these guys get up there and they're just not interested. They don't seem like they care. That's when you get concerned. And I think